Here we go now.
La 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 la. Miami's fire. Or is it? Or is it burning down? Look, is it burning down? You know I'm never team anyone besides myself. I don't know these people. I don't care to know these people. But there comes a point in our lives where we have to stand up for what's right. And when we see something that's happening on the show that we've seen happen on reality television countless times, I have fire for a bunch of people in this episode. I have fire for a bunch of people in this episode, okay? They're definitely trying to ice out Adriana. And Adriana's not my favorite person. However, I don't like how they're trying to ice her out this season. Obviously, she's not getting along with everyone else, but I don't like that. And I already noticed that they're doing that with Gertie, sorry. I already saw a lot of people in my comment section. Last night, I ended up watching Real Housewives of Miami pretty late. I was live on TikTok, and then I ended up watching it after that in bed. And I'm just like, wait a minute, what? She did what? And we already know, I think I shared with you guys what Julia had to say on social media. I think I still have it here, even though it's unimportant at this particular point. Because Gertie, get behind me. Yep, I had to pull out the GIF again. Gertie, get behind me. Because I have fire for Julia for the rest of the season. Girl, you were itching to be part of the, quote, cool girls club. And I'm only putting them in quotes because they're not that cool. Because you wanted the fire, here it is. And that little long Instagram story that you put on social media to sort of do a disclaimer or damage control. I don't care. You showed who you really are, and I'm done with you. I've been done with you. If you go back and you watch my recaps, I've been done with Julia. I never thought Julia was that great, and maybe production told her she wasn't that great. And Martina was not going to be enough to keep her job on the show. Just saying. Apparently, because all these antics are giving press, it's giving desperate for a storyline. I don't think it's just her wanting to be a part of Alexia and Marisol's cool girl group. I think it's also partly like, well, I need to be close with them to keep myself on the show. Girl, you're pitiful, sad, and you can go. Because after this, I don't think you realize this. Now the fans really do not want to see you. We don't necessarily love Alexia all the time. We don't necessarily love Marisol all the time. But that's who they are. And because they show up as who they are, that's what makes them okay to be on this show. You're showing as someone I'm not too sure. I think the real, a lot of people say, oh, Julia's so nice and sweet. Julia's active. But no. I think the Julia that we're seeing now is the actually real Julia. The same Julia that constantly is leaving Martina to go making things about herself. You are projecting on Gertie what you have done in your relationship with Martina. There are countless examples of, I'm like, okay, if Martina loves it, okay. If you're okay with her always making everything about herself, including your cancer journey, then that's fine. It wouldn't be me. And then for Gertie to reveal at the end of this episode that you went and got a facelift while Martina was going through her cancer treatment, that told me everything that I need to know about Julia. It told me everything. Girl, you're not that interesting. We don't care about you. You chose the wrong road. Wrong road. You are pitiful. Pitiful. I don't know. Or maybe this was your way of getting pushed off the show. I don't know. But you are so unlikable. Your behavior, the way you stood over Gertie, you don't even understand the microaggressions of it all. And some people are going to be uncomfortable with the things I'm going to bring up in this recap. Well, you need to check the reason why you're feeling uncomfortable. Because these are what we're talking about. You're standing over Gertie. You're waving your finger in Gertie's face. Gertie is better than a lot of us. And you know I'm not a violent person. But the minute you throw water on me, look, all bets are off. Again, we've talked about this before. We talked about this week when it comes to Real Housewives of Atlanta. You throw water on me, you cannot control my reaction because I don't know. My immediate reaction probably would have threw glass at you or splash you or slap your hand when your finger's in my face. Gertie, get behind me. Gertie, get behind me. And Kiki. When Garcelle said, not all skin folk are kinfolk, it seems that's what, because the fact that you're making excuses for their behavior and you've aligned yourself with these other women, I'm not saying that you have to be friends with Gertie or have Gertie's back because she's black. But please understand what they're doing, the microaggressions that they're playing against Gertie, they will do it against you if they haven't already. But it's okay. I was like, Kiki, and I love the fact that Gertie says, I am not going to change my personality. It's one thing if Gertie was being malicious towards them or doing, like she was being mean towards them or something like that. You're asking Gertie to change who she is. And look, I've heard about people that have been around Gertie. Gertie is a big personality. A lot of these housewives are big personalities. If you're around them, you're like, oh, okay, they're a lot, but you understand why they were casted to be on this show. They are big personalities. But trying to tell Gertie to change her personality, what Kiki wanted to say, you need to pull back more. You need to be a little bit more quiet. You need to be a little bit more dainty. No, you don't, Gertie. And I'm glad that you said, I'm not going to change my personality. No, you do not need to change your personality. Not for these women. And it's always someone like Kiki that's going to ask you to do it. They're going to get the black girl to do it. And Kiki's going to fall for it because Kiki wants a full-time position on this show. Kiki wants a full-time position on this show. So she'll do whatever, like, oh, pull back. They're saying you're doing too much. And blah, 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 blah. Really? And then we see Julia. You saw how Julia, I'm so glad that Gertie clocked it in the moment when Julia was doing the toast to Marisol. And she's like, congratulations. Sit down. What are you doing? And I'm glad that Gertie was just like, and they say, I do too much? And mind you, Gertie doing too much, that's who she is. Julia doing all of that, we're like, who is this person right now? Who is this person? All right, I'm jumping towards the end because we have a lot to say when it comes to Real Housewives of Miami. I just jumped right on in. I had to. Guys, don't forget the Kempire. Can you imagine what July 10th is going to look like in Philadelphia when I come to Philadelphia? Go get your tickets. There's a summer sale, Philadelphia. Summer sale this week only. It ends on Sunday. Go get your tickets for the Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era live experience. I cannot wait to come to the city because we're going to go in. We're going to talk about the Diddler. We're going to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta. We're going to talk about those reunion looks. We're going to talk about what's happening on Real Housewives of Miami. We have a lot to get into. Philadelphia, don't fail us. Go get those tickets today. Then I'm coming to Atlanta on August 5th at the City Winery there. Then we're back in DC on August 22nd. And then, of course, our show here in New York City is happening on September 12th. All shows have meet and greets available. And the New York City show has a special live stream option. So even if you're in another city that we haven't come to or won't be coming to, or you're in another country, be sure to get your tickets for that. The live stream option is available in the link tree below. All right. And we are still raising money. We are still raising money for the center. We are, my real goal is 5,000. I've just said it's a 4,500, and we're close to that. If we haven't hit it already, mods, can you let me know if we've hit it already for 4,500? Because then we're gonna have to up it. We only have like 4 more days left to our goal. We were able to raise money to get this song.
Set me free.
Happy Pride.
I wanna be free.
Ooh.
Get on with my life.
How you doing?
I wanna get on with my life now. I got a brand new wife now. I'm gonna have a little baby child. A little baby child. A little baby child.
Good job, Gregory. You did a great job.
Oh my goodness. And here's the thing. If Gertie had reacted the way that we wanted her to react in that moment, then they would have painted her as the angry black woman. But all of the theatrics that Julie was doing in that last moment, and the fact that everyone just sat, the only person that really said anything to Julia about her behavior was Larsa. You probably didn't hear it. I literally watched that last 5 minutes like 10 times. That's why I was late. Larsa was the only person to say, oh, you shouldn't have done that. We don't throw things, blah, blah, blah. She was the only person to say something. Okay? Only one. And while Kiki's trying to pull Gertie away. What? Like, what? No, you can leave, but I'm not leaving. Why should Gertie leave? Production should have stepped in. Because if we're going to get real technical, what Julia did was assault with a weapon. You're splashing someone. You're lucky that Gertie didn't press charges against you. Because she could have. All she told you, she didn't even tell you to shut the F up. Because I wish she would have. She told you, be quiet. Be quiet. And it wasn't even in her face. She was just like, be quiet. And then that's what perturbed her. How dare this black woman tell me be quiet? Oh, come on, let's be honest. She's like, how dare this black woman tell me to be quiet? She did, and you got pressed, and you splashed her. And Kiki, the fact that you had no energy for Julia, and you literally were soaked too. The 2 black girls were the ones that were soaked. And let me tell you, let me bring this picture up. Because let me tell you, when I saw this, and as a black man, it's one thing, but as a black woman, and I saw a lot of you in the comments saying that you're out this season. After this episode, you are out this season. I don't blame you. This picture was heartbreaking to see. Every time I saw it, I was just like, oh, this is hard to even look at. Look at this picture. This picture of Gertie sitting there. So, because at first, it didn't look like a lot of the water got on her. But when you look at this image of Gertie and Julia's going off, Julia just splashed her. She is soaked. There's water all on her head. The makeup is not moving, though. The makeup is not smudging at all. The makeup is not smudging at all. But when you look at her hair, you're like, wow. Wow. And then it's the look on Gertie's face. Her face, to me, was just so, like, heartbroken. But she didn't let it show to them. She was not going to let them push her out. You know what I mean? Because that's clearly what they're trying to do. They're trying to push her out. So every time I looked at that scene, I was just like, oh my gosh. Anyway, exactly. Elle says she assaulted her. Wow. Yeah. And for the 2 people that dislike the video, you might want to question why you are so pressed by my opinion on this. Or maybe it's Julia. Or maybe it's Kiki. Kiki, you should need to start taking a hard look at yourself as well. Yeah, Pageant Mommy says it was triggering being in these spaces. Jasmine says it felt humiliating. And literally, that's what Gertie says. Let me start from the top, and we'll get to the bottom. I will be dropping the call-in link for you guys to call in and share your thoughts on the latest episode of the Real Housewives of Miami. Let's start at the top. I did watch What Happens Live with Larsa, and Larsa's new man is handsome. But why did he sound like Marcus, too? She like a particular black man. Handsome, though. Did anyone else cringe when Andy asked if they were having sex 5 times a day? I know that was a part of the storyline with Marcus. I just cringed. I was like, okay, that's weird. That's weird. I don't know about anyone else, but I cringed when he asked that question. I was like, but okay. And I like that Larsa was like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Good. Because we didn't believe it anyway, but anyway. what else happened on Watch What Happens Live? They did a few polls in regards to if they were either team Gertie or team Julia. Obviously, everyone was for them. Whoever was a part of that small percentage, I don't understand it, but you're entitled to your opinion. I don't understand how you could watch what we're watching and be team anyone besides Gertie. Because Gertie hasn't done anything to Julia to warrant this type of behavior. Not to these theatrics. If you felt hurt by something that Gertie did, then talk to her. Gertie literally says at the end, she's like, if you had an issue with me, why did you wait a full year? Why did you wait a full year before coming to me about it? And you waited till you bring it on camera. So many of these housewives do it. She waited to come on camera in order to make it her storyline this season. That's why. And she's not even friends with Adriana anymore. Well, we see that happen in the episode. All right, so at the top of this episode, we have Adriana, speaking of Adriana, on the beach with Amari. Okay, at first I was like, okay, Adriana won. But then the more I look at this relationship, the more I'm like, is this just a relationship for the show? I'm starting to feel like this is just a relationship for the show. He seems like more than willing to be the boyfriend. And then she's like, I'm going to go topless now. And then she runs away and she looks back and he just looks like, okay. I don't know what this is. I don't know if you're paying the man. Adriana, I feel bad for you. I do feel bad for you because I think Adriana is good for this show, as I've said for all the friend does of the show. But I hate the fact that we have to lean into these antics. And, well, I'm going to blame Julia. You know what? Because Julia has left her for the other girl, so now she feels like she has to create something in order to be relevant on the show, and I hate that for her. So, wait, Shay says he had his glasses on this time, Kemp. Well, they were outside. Yeah, you know, we talked about a little bit of his either lazy eye or cross eye. I don't know. It's okay. He's still handsome. We love a little French accent. Fine. It just feels like she's forcing this. And I'm like, Adriana, I don't know, girl. I don't know. All right. So Alexia and our fave, Frankie, go to this restaurant. It was a Sea Spice. So apparently, you know, I look at Marisol's relationship with this guy, and I'm like, Marisol, is this real with Steve? I don't know. I think because of what Alexia, her own friend, said about this relationship, makes me look at the relationship like it's not real. She's had multiple weddings that weren't legal. Now she's finally getting married legally. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. Wait a second. When you get married, do you walk out with your marriage license? Because then they walk in and then walk out with nothing in their hand? Or do you file the paperwork there? Did they walk in with paperwork? I don't remember. I don't know if I believe the relationship, y'all. And I know maybe it's because we've been watching reality television for so long. Now we've become very cynical. Well, I don't think it's us being cynical, guys. It's because we see a lot of people faking these relationships. There's a lot of fakery happening on reality television now. But now I'm looking and I'm like, I will say this though. I'm jumping ahead, but it's my review. Who cares? Sage says it's giving lavender. I will say they're cute together, though. When I say cute, like aesthetically, they're cute. And maybe it's a lavender marriage. Because remember, lavender marriage it's not about sex. It's about companionship. And it doesn't mean that he is, it doesn't mean that either. It could mean like, you know what, I want a companion. That's not necessarily a lavender marriage, but it is a marriage of convenience. I do like Marisol, even if it's a fake relationship and this is her storyline. When she talked about Elsa and her parents not being there and why she wanted to get married to him legally, I was like, okay, I understand. I definitely understand. But I'm fast forwarding because Alexia at the top of this episode goes to Sea Spice because this is where she wants to host a surprise wedding party for Marisol. And Alexia says that, yeah, I haven't even gone to any of the weddings. And she says that none of Marisol's family has gone to any of these weddings. So who was at these weddings? Because even the Scotland wedding, there were people there. So none of your family went to any of these weddings? And not even Alexia, who's supposed to be your best friend? I find that to be a little weird, okay? But, so they're going to get married legally. Alexia wants to throw a party for her, okay? Alexia then, because her friend Miriam asked her, so what's going on with you and Todd? And Alexia gets emotional. I don't mean to laugh, but when Alexia gets emotional, there's a lot of like very like dramatic. So she gets emotional about that. Frankie's like, don't cry, mommy. And Alexia says, Frankie, although he's not able to communicate how he's feeling, she says he's very much aware. And I don't remember some of the actual developmental issues that Frankie has since his accident. But I will say, based off of, if you've been watching the show, him starting to get more services and things helping with his skills, his everyday skills, it feels like it is helping him. If you go back and you watch these last 3 seasons with Frankie, I definitely have seen a progression with Frankie. So I would like to see more of that in her storyline versus us talking about Todd constantly. Literally, she just slept with Todd a few days ago. So, and Todd is on social media talking all kinds of crap about her. So, Flipiana says that Alexia loves toxic men. Her first husband, jailbird. Second husband, in the closet. Third husband married her, then divorced her without telling her. I want better for her, but it's so weird and uncanny how Alexia and Teresa are so alike. Not only do they look alike, but they act alike, and they have the gauge on their men the same. It's kind of weird, and they're actually friends. Flipiana says, "Can you cry with Botox?" Why wouldn't you be able to? I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to show the expression, but you should be able to. At least the tear ducts still work. Look, tear ducts should still work. Okay, so she gets emotional talking about that. She talked about Frankie's reaction to it, and that Frankie's very intuitive as well. She also calls Lisa because she wants to know if Lisa's coming, and this is when we find out that Lisa's father has passed away. Can we have a little kitchen table talk? If you are a Lisa stan, you might want to exit for a second. Just exit for a second, all right? Can we just have a talk? They didn't exit yet. Close the doors. No. This is just going back to what Larsa said. Although we don't think Larsa should have said it, it's something maybe we would have said amongst ourselves. But maybe she should have went. Look, I understand she hasn't had a relationship with her father over the years, but she even says it in her own scene. If your parents are around, make sure you spend every last waking moment with them. And I'm thinking to myself, well, then why didn't you take your own advice? Why didn't you take your own advice? But that's Lisa's personality. This is why I'm not surprised that she's choosing a man over her friends. And all the friends are saying the same thing. Lisa doesn't call them. Y'all don't even call Lisa out for that. Y'all more pressed about Gertie and her personality, but y'all don't talk about Lisa and how she's not a good friend. Just saying. And Lisa's going to choose a man over you guys all the time. So her going to Milan so she can be in a fashion show, I was like, I get it. And I get it that you had a strained relationship with your father, but you just recently reignited your relationship and he's dying. Why not go see him? And then when you finally go see him, you can't communicate with him. I get it. She's had a complicated relationship with him, and it's not something that we want to normally talk about, but DB says that Lisa's very self-centered. Yeah, she's a Leo. This is coming from a Leo moon. Calm down. All right? So anyway, so Lisa tells Alexia that her father has passed away. I mean, Alexia guessed it. She was like, oh, you're in Canada? Your father passed away. Lord. Alexia also has no coof. Let her tell you, but yeah. So Lisa, she said she hadn't heard from Lisa, so she ends up calling Lisa and asking Lisa, are you going to come to the party? But she's like, I'm in Canada. And she's in Canada because her father passed away. I'm sorry, Lisa, that you lost your father. I am sorry. All right, let me take a sip. Teresa says that Lisa is a, what'd you call her? A blonde dizzy dingbat. Not a blonde dizzy dingbat. Oh goodness. Seniors 11, thank you for being a member for the super chat. Senior said, I agree, Kemp. They always pick on the black women when they want to fit in with the cool girls. We saw this on Beverly Hills and Salt Lake City too. Oh, Okay. Kendra, thank you so much for the 2 super chats and for being a member. Kendra says, that's why Julia's aging like milk. Why she ended up getting a facelift while Martina was going through her cancer treatments. Julia, we don't like you. I really don't. I had never really liked Julia, but this put the cherry on top. This definitely put the cherry on top. Thank you for another super chat. Kendra says, Kiki is a hypocrite. She was ready to throw Lisa off the boat, but had the nerve to tell Gertie to calm down. Kiki is giving follow the delusional people. Yeah. I didn't like this for Kiki. I was like, Kiki, what are you doing? But look, us as a community know those type of people, right? We know those type of people. All right. Let's move on. So Marisol and Steve prep for their legal wedding. As I said, they actually are cute. They're a cute couple. However, I'm like, there's something off about the relationship that I'm not convinced. But again, it could be a relationship just for companionship. Maybe? I don't know. But okay, so she talked about how they met. They met through mutual friends, and then, she left her swimsuit at his home, and the new owner wanted to see, blah, blah, blah. All right. So they talk about their story. Then she talks about being, I'm really nervous. I'm nervous about this marriage thing. And then she gets emotional talking about her mom, Elsa, her dad, and she talks about the significance of doing things legally. And that makes sense. There are plenty of people that are in long-term relationships that are not married, but then they end up getting married because, depending on your state too, you might want to be able to, God forbid, you're on your deathbed or you're in the hospital, you still want to be able to make those decisions. And as someone that's not legally married, sometimes you can't make those decisions. But she says there's a lot of money between the two of them. I was like, wait, do we know what Steve does or did for work? I do know when Marisol first was on the show, she had her own publicity firm. And she was like really one of those girls back in the day. Like she was partying with Madonnas and the, Johnny Versace's and things like that back in the day. I don't know how she makes money now. I know she has like a liquor thing now too. I know she has the podcast, but that's not like a moneymaker. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know what her father and mother left her as well. But she says there's a lot of money between them. So I'm like, oh, okay. Do we know what Steve does for a living? Just asking. Kathy says, Kiki is giving me pick-me energy. Yeah. Look, yeah. All right, let's move on from that scene. We have Adriana and Julia meet up, and they have a scene together. And this is where Julia says she doesn't understand why Adriana hasn't called her. And she was like, Adriana's like, you could call me too. But I also get why Julia might not call Adriana. She's, she just adopted these 2 boys. But Adriana's just like, I'm actually surprised that you didn't tell me before telling the rest of the group. She told everyone together on that Zoom call. And I am glad they flashed back to the early seasons with Julia and Adriana's relationship. Julia was so cringe talking about, you're my best friend. I'm proposing to you. You're my best friend. And I forgot how much of a pick-me-sha she was when it came to her friendship with Adriana. So I'm glad they reminded us because I was like, yeah, this is pretty much a big 180. So Adriana doesn't understand why she would tell the group before telling her. All right. And she also reveals that Alexia met Julia's boys, her new boys, before Adriana. So clearly there's more going on here, probably even more than we even understand in regards to what really went down between these women. Again, I always remind you, you're watching an edited show. There's a lot of context left out. There's probably a lot of it having to do with the show. A lot of times it has to do with the show and not necessarily an actual friendship. So she talks about Alexia meeting the boys, but then Adriana says, I want to throw you a baby shower for the boys. And Julia's like, oh, I would love that. Fantastic. So then we have this other scene happening at the same time as this scene with Kiki and Gertie going to Stretch Lab. Has anyone ever, because there's a bunch of Stretch Labs here in New York City. I go to Stretch Lab because stretching can be very important, especially for those of us that work out. But even if you don't work out, stretching is important. So they go into Stretch Lab, and this is where Gertie talks about life after cancer. And I don't think, and we've talked about this before, I'm glad that they're showing this life after cancer. Because so often, yes, okay, you've been declared, you're all clear with the cancer, but now Gertie is dealing with the aftermath. She's gained some weight. She removed her breast implants. A lot of times women will do that after going through breast cancer because, now they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have any foreign bodies. Is this part of the reason why I ended up getting breast cancer? So she removed her breast implants, but now she wants to kind of reconstruct her breast. And we saw that last week. So she said she's feeling her best and she wants to kind of start taking care of herself in regards to that. So her and Kiki have the scene at Stretch Lab and they're getting stretched. So it's actually a really cute scene. And I think production has listened to us. We wanted to see more scenes between Gertie and Kiki if it was natural. And it feels natural. Two Haitian women having a Kiki every once in a while, having a Kiki with a Kiki. Where they're going in and out of English and Creole and things like that. So it was actually a really cute scene, seeing them get stretched by this guy and Kiki being like, "Oh my gosh, I'm stretching. I feel like you're stretching my you know what." Those stretches really do help, though. That's one thing. Some of y'all not stretching enough. Those stretches really do help. Hey, Tiffany. Tiffany says, Kempire here from the UK. Couldn't wait to join the live. So mad with Julia. I think we all are. Dr. Jen says, cute scene, still disappointed in Kiki, especially because where the conversation goes. Because Kiki, this scene was more so of Kiki trying to speak to Gertie on behalf of the other women. So she brings that up and she's like, well, the other women feel like you're doing too much. They feel like, you're always making things about yourself. And Gertie's just like, I'm not going to change my personality. And then literally in the confessional, Kiki's like, well, this is what they're talking about. This is what they're talking about. And I was like, again, like I said before, I would understand if Gertie did something to the women. The fact that they're saying that Gertie's personality is over the top, I'm like, well, she can't change who she is so that you guys can be comfortable. If she wasn't listening to you guys, that's one thing. Say that, but don't say she needs to change her personality. If she's not, if you want her to show up for you more or listen to your needs and stop maybe making it about herself, I'm not sure what exactly the over the top description means in their world, but the fact that they use Kiki to be the one to bring this news, and I love the fact that Gertie's like, I'm not going to change my personality. I'm not, and I don't blame her. Like, why should I change myself for this group? Why I'm supposed to be demure and pull back to make them feel comfortable? Mind you, these women are so over the top. We got Larsa over the top, Lisa over the top, Julia over the top, Alexia over the top. All these personalities are over the top. You know what it is? They're like, I don't like the fact that fans love you guys more than us. I think that's what it is. They don't love that, so they want Gertie to pull back so that they can shine. You all can shine. What we love about Real Housewives of Miami is that all of you, even those moments when we don't like you. I don't love Gertie all the time either. We've talked about that. I don't love Kiki all the time either. We've talked about that. I don't love Alexia all the time. For most of the time. I don't love Larsa all the time. You couldn't tell these last couple of episodes. I feel like I'm in Team Larsa. Unfortunately. So she brings up what the other women are saying. Gertie's like, I'm not going to change my personality. So Kiki basically gives up in that moment. But then they start talking about what happened between Guerdy and Julia. So they jump back and forth between the scenes where they're telling what happened on this cruise. So Julia says that Gertie makes everything about herself, which I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But you have a funny way of bringing this up and making such an issue about it. And remember, this is the cruise where apparently Martina was supposed to attend. Apparently, Julia called Gertie about it. She invited Gertie to be there. Okay? So apparently what went down on the cruise, according to Julia, Gertie tried to make it all about herself. Okay. I don't know. I need her to give me examples. Then she says that they talk about the dinner that Gertie wasn't invited to. And I said this last week. If Martina was supposed to attend, then shouldn't Gertie have been a part of that dinner because she is your plus one now that Martina's not there? So the fact that the host removed your +1 and you do have a +1 there, and Gertie's like, all right, so where am I supposed to go? So apparently it was a Captain Sandy party. We find this out a little bit later on. That was a Captain Sandy party. Here's the thing. If Martina was going through or having a bad reaction to the cancer treatments and things like that, why are you even on the cruise? I think the cruise and the organizers would understand why you wouldn't be able to attend. I think they would understand. But the fact that you decided to attend and you invited Gertie, begged Gertie to attend, and now, and I'm not saying that Gertie maybe didn't make it about herself, or maybe Gertie was, I don't know. I don't think it's enough for the energy that Julia is bringing in this situation. I feel like she's doing way too much. Oh, I forgot we didn't get any taglines. Theo says the taglines are probably going to premiere next week. I'm excited to hear them. I completely forgot about the taglines. Yeah, we haven't had any taglines for Real Housewives of Miami yet. We got to get those ratings up, though. The ratings for Miami are not great. However, that doesn't mean the season hasn't been great. The season already, this is only episode 3. All right, so they're recalling what happened on this cruise where Julia asked Gertie to come in replace of Martina. Okay, Gertie says that Julia was distraught and needed her support when calling her. But Gertie says that during that whole dinner thing, now she started to feel like she was a seat filler. She felt disrespected. And then that's where Kiki says, oh, this is what they're talking about. Your big personality. Gertie's like, I'm not going to change my personality. Okay. Julia in the scene with Adriana says that a lot of this is about the dinner and Martina was supposed to attend, but the organizer removed Martina, but you had asked Gertie to be there. So I understand why Gertie might be upset with you. I could understand if Gertie was the one that was upset, but Gertie wasn't even upset with you. You're the one that are acting weird towards Gertie. I can understand if Gertie was upset with you because you begged me to come and join you on this cruise. There's a dinner happening. So what am I supposed to go sit in the room? And apparently whatever other reservation that was supposed to be for Gertie, Gertie said my name wasn't even on the list. So that's foul. If you beg someone, even if you had a falling out with someone that could happen. Maybe you didn't like the way that Gertie was acting on the trip, fine. But you still did ask her. So now you're icing her out? Okay. Exactly, Karine. That's exactly the way to put it. Imagine asking your friend to dim themselves. That's what Kiki was basically saying. And I don't think Kiki realized that, or maybe she did. Or maybe she's used to doing that. Exactly. DB says, why you invite me to some BS and then acted like I shouldn't be there? And literally what Gertie explains this later on in the last scene. She says she had just gotten off a cruise with Russell. She was unpacking when Julia called and begged her to come. And so that's important detail to note. She begged her to come to this, and she literally had just gotten back from a trip with Russell. Angela says, this is Julia's storyline. She's using Gertie for it. I wish her luck, because I have to say, the good majority of people are over her because of it. I'm truly over her because of it. And I never really liked her. All right, so then we have this scene with Lisa in Canada with Jodie. So her dad, as you know, passed away. She talks about the relationship, the complexities of the relationship over the years, how they did not talk for a very long time because he was an alcoholic. She says that for a long time she didn't want to have anything to do with her dad. Okay, but in the last couple of months, she had reignited their relationship. They had reunited, and she had brought the children to meet him. Look, and then this is where she says, if you have your parents still around, you should spend as much time with them as possible. And I don't know if she had that aha moment after the Milan trip or if she had it before the Milan trip. But again, if she had a better relationship with him, then I'd probably be like, well, that's bad. But she also had a strained relationship. So I could also understand the complexities of her. Should I go? Should I not go? Should I do this other thing? But we also know with Lisa, it's always about Lisa. It's always about Lisa. So we get to see that. Of course, Jodie's with her. She was so happy to have Jodie with her. I feel like Jodie's always with her. Anytime there's a camera, Jodie's there. But again, her father has passed away. At least he's showing up for her. I can't say the same for Lenny. Do we think Lenny would have showed up for Lisa in this moment? Do we think Lenny would have actually went with her? I don't think so. I don't think so. I can almost guarantee that he wouldn't have gone with her. He might have been part of the reason why she didn't have such a close relationship or bonded with her father sooner. It could have been. Her father did have, alcoholism problem and things like that too. All right. Let's move on. So then we have this scene with Kiki and her mom. I thought the scene was interesting because I like this in this episode. We're getting a little bit more of the friend ofs, and the friend ofs are having their own scenes. This is why Miami's different. We don't need them to have a scene with one of the full-time housewives. We can have a separate scene with them like we did earlier in the episode with Marisol. So we have the scene with Summer, her little daughter, and her mom, and they're in these ice cream plays. It was like a really cool ice cream place. So Summer's running around looking for chocolate ice cream, and they keep offering her vanilla. She's like, I want chocolate. Summer's Chanel outfit, I don't know if it's Chanel, but it was definitely Chanel inspired. I was like, okay, Summer, cute. All right, keep your foot on our necks with the fashion. Kiki looked fabulous as always. I found it to be interesting to see the dynamic with her mom. She talks about in Haitian culture, she's taking care of her mom. That's very normal. So her mom is also helping her so that she can go out and work until she's taking care of Summer. So then they start talking, because her mom doesn't really know a lot of English, so they start talking in Creole. And they talk about her father coming to visit. Remember last season, Kiki shared the complexities of her relationship with her family because of the work that she does. And because of her doing the modeling and swimsuit modeling, they automatically think like you're like a porn star. So she talks about that, and she talks about her dad coming and that she was going to, pick him up and have a conversation with him. However, her dad is not a great guy. Her mother even admits, he's a very bad man, but he's still your father. Again, I'm not surprised by her mother saying that. It's not even just Caribbean culture, it's Black culture. I'm not surprised by that. It will be interesting to see. I'm sure we're going to see this probably on the show, her father and that dynamic. I thought this was an interesting scene. Like they're setting us. We're getting a little bit more about Kiki. So, thank you so much, Ultraviolet. Ultraviolet says, people need to stop telling folks to respect their abusive parents. And that's exactly what Kiki's mother was doing. Am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised. But what am I supposed to do in this situation? Exactly. Doja says Caribbean moms will encourage you to stay in any abusive relationship, any kind of abusive relationship. And that situation is probably what's affected Kiki when it comes to the relationships that she chooses. Creme Brulee says, Kiki's mother is a typical Caribbean parent when discussing their father. I can't say my mother has said that, though. Yeah, I can't say that my mother has spoken those words. All right. All right, guys, keep liking the video if you haven't already. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. We're talking about the Real Housewives of Miami. Don't forget, you can also hear our Real Housewives recaps on the Kempire podcast. So later today, I will be posting my Diddy Day 31 update. If you missed it, we did talk about Day 30. So be sure to check that out. You can also hear it on the Kempire podcast. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, be sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And shout out to those of you that are part of our growing Spotify community. I see a lot of your comments. I can't get to every comment because now we're really growing in that community, but that's where you can comment on the podcast. So be sure to check that out. And sometimes I'm adding additional content to the podcast versions. There's also the Club Kempire podcast version as well, where I drop for our Club Kempire Baddies a special episode. I haven't dropped a new episode this week. I will, but with the Diddy of it all, they've been coming a little bit late this week. But be sure to check out some of the past episodes where I talk about Handmaid's Tale. I talk about White Lotus. I spill Bravo tea. So Stay tuned. I might have to do a special episode talking more about what I really want to say about Julia. So join Club Kempire today. There's a free 3-day trial as well. All right. Moving on. All right. So we had that scene with Kiki and her mom and her daughter. Adorable. So let's get to Marisol's surprise party. So Marisol didn't know that this was going to be a surprise party. She got a sty, so she has a patch on. She's with Steve and his son. They're surprised by this party that Alexia is putting together. But before she even gets there, Larsa arrives early and she asks Alexia, I had to think about what was Alexia's name. Asks Alexia about, what's going on with you and Todd. And she's like, nothing right now. He has 30 days to actually move forward with the divorce. By now, we know he did move forward with the divorce. So Larsa in her confessional, the only way that Larsa can was just like, Todd's not that great. She's like, Todd is really not that great. And based on what we've seen of Todd, he really isn't that great. I think this relationship has run its course. He's really showed you who he is, Alexia. He has no respect for you. If anything, he's sleeping with you still because he can't probably find another yet. Or maybe he's sleeping with multiple people. You need to be done with him. So, and he wants this relationship on his terms. And what you want doesn't matter to him. So Larsa's like, he's not that great. And I was like, yep, I agree. I agree. So Marisol arrives at her party and she makes a mention that I'm so glad that Alexia did this and she invited only the people that I like and that she forgot to that she didn't invite Adriana. So they're basically icing out Adriana this season. And I don't know why. And I get it. Adriana and Alexia have not been great. But this is a film. I don't feel like there's anything that's happened between Adriana, Marisol, and Alexia that's that deep. We've seen things happen between these women on other cities that are a lot deeper, and they still invite people to these group events. But this is their way of trying to ice Adriana out. They don't want Adriana on the show. Please understand, if they felt like this would work and Adriana could not be on the show because of what they're doing, they would do this. They would continue to do this. I wish production would be like, please invite Adriana. But they didn't invite Adriana. I don't understand. I don't remember where they left off last season. I remember there was a lot of stuff that happened between Adriana and Alexia when it comes to Todd. Turns out that she was right about Todd. But okay. So Marisol is happy that she wasn't invited. Larsa updates the group on what happened. Because I was wondering, when are they going to talk about what happened in Milan? So she brings up what happened. She says, everything ended up being good between me and Lisa. Thanks to Fabulous. She didn't bring up Fabulous, but I will. She says, she agreed to unfollow Marcus. Everything was good. Then Jodie. Here's the thing. Based off the preview of last week, it did seem as if they were alluding that Jodie's eyes, there was something else going on. And I feel like the way that this was edited, because remember, we're watching an edited show, they kind of downplayed their reaction. Well, they didn't downplay their reaction. They try to say everything but what we've all been saying about the AC. Look, because I didn't understand Kiki's reaction to his eyes. I agree with Alexia. Jodie always looks like this. Even last week when they showed this, I was like, why are we talking about his eyes? He looks the same. He doesn't look different. But I feel like they were alluding to what we've been alluding to and what production has been alluding to, that there's something going on. And not that he was just bugged out. I feel like they made some last minute changes when it comes to the editing. They wanted to spin the narrative that is something else. And Mara says, does he have Graves' disease? Alexia made it seem like, she was like, oh, maybe he has like a thyroid issue. I didn't understand why they were making a big deal of his eyes. Because again, like Marisol says, is there a difference in his eyes? I felt like he looks the same. Unless we are alluding to something else. Or unless we're alluding to AC. Just saying. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand the emphasis on his eyes. Or I didn't even understand Kiki's reaction. I was like, okay, like why though? Like I didn't understand that at all. Like he looks the same to me, unless you were alluding to something else. That's what I felt like they were alluding to something else. But fine, we'll run with the narrative. His eyes were bugged out. So Larsa says that Jodie doesn't want them being friends. He doesn't want them talking. And Larsa believes that he's trying to use Lisa for her money. And I was like, what money? She didn't get a lot in the divorce. And she says that he's involved in all of her phone calls and business meetings and things like that. Look, I wouldn't be surprised that she's following anything that Jodie tells her. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't believe that Lisa has a brain. Damn. I don't think she's that smart. Okay? I don't. So I wouldn't be surprised that he's involved in the conversations and the businesses and things like that. I agree, Pajamami. I would understand if Larsa said that he was only being around Lisa so he can be on television or the clout. Remember in his explanation, he was like, I don't even like filming. I can't tell. Because even the Milan trip, why are you on this trip? You don't like being around the cameras. Oh, I'm frozen. Please hold. He doesn't like being on camera, yet here we are. He doesn't like being on camera, but anytime there's a moment to be filmed, he's filming. In my humble opinion. But okay. All right, let's move on. Let's move on from there. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's easy and it's free. We're talking about the Real Housewives of Miami. Don't forget, the Kempire After Dark, the villain era, is coming to Philadelphia. This week, City Winery is running a $25 only, for this week only, $25 for a premium ticket to our live show. So go get your tickets today. This is the week to get it if you haven't already. And don't forget, we're coming to Atlanta August 5th. Then we're in DC on August 22nd. And then back in New York City, September 12th. Okay, more information on the Kempire After Dark, the villain era, will be available in the description. A night of hot topics, spilling tea, talking about Real Housewives, talking about the Diddler, and more. Dr. Jen says that Jodie gives AI. Shay says, another clout chaser. He said that he doesn't like to film, yet we see him all the time. Exactly. Deborah says Jodie films more than Russell. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. But again, a lot of what he said in this statement to talk about the AC didn't make sense to me, but fine. Okay. All right, so they had that conversation about Jodie and Larsa not trusting Jodie. And they look at the picture of Jodie, whatever. Larsa thinks that Jodie wants Lisa's money. All right, so then they cheers to Marisol's wedding. But Julia goes off on this tangent, which I did not understand. She's just like, congratulations, Marisol, congratulations. And then Gertie is like, and they think I'm over the top? Because I don't know what that was. And we've seen this before from Julia. And I'm just like, you're doing a lot. You're doing too much. Because it comes across fake. It doesn't come across like it's genuine. All right. So she's like, congratulations. Da, da, da. So she's over there talking with Steve. And then they call her back over because Kiki's like, you guys need to talk. Her and Gertie need to talk. So Gertie is more than willing to have the conversation. But Julia is like, I don't know about that. And then she was just like, do you want to talk with the group or do you want to talk alone? And then she flips out. Julia flips out. She's just like, no, you're not going to produce this. You're not going to produce this. Produce what? She's asking if you want to have the conversations in front of the group or do you want to have a separate conversation? It was weird. And she was doing too much. And then the constant standing up, someone should have told her to sit down. There's no need for her to stand up. And then at one particular point, she's standing over Gertie. And then she's having her finger in Gertie's face. And Gertie is like, you're acting like a hyena, because she was. She was acting like a hyena. She was just, she was unhinged and for no reason at all. She was trying to talk over Gertie. So we have that. So they end up sitting back down and Gertie explains what happened on this cruise. Cause they were like, what happened? What happened on the boat? Blah, blah, blah. So Gertie explains, the fact that Gertie was able to explain it without missing a beat says to me that she was telling the truth. Did anyone notice that? Again, I watched this over and over again. The way that Gertie was able to tell the story without missing a beat. It's when Julia tells the story that she's sort of humming, and it could be the language barrier, but I feel like she's lying, okay? Because Gertie's first language is not English either, but Gertie's able to explain, well, this is what happened. So, and I'm not going to rehash what was said in regards to this whole cruise situation. Basically, we already know Julia asked Gertie to be a part of this cruise because Martina was not feeling well due to the cancer treatments and things like that. Gertie agreed to go after Julia begged her to go. Julia did not like the way that Gertie was acting during the cruise. Gertie was upset that there was a dinner that her name was not on the list, so she was upset about that. I don't blame her. You invited me to this cruise, and now I have to go sit and eat somewhere else. Then they bring up Captain Sandy from Below Deck Med. Apparently, she must have been throwing this party or whatever it may be. And Gertie was like, well, you're talking about how I want to be around Captain Sandy. We were just partying with Captain Sandy the night before. Elle says language barrier, aka lies. You know what? So they explain what was happening. So it starts getting heated again and getting loud, more so on Julia's side. Gertie was so self-composed in that moment. She's just like, why are you acting like this? She's all in Gertie's face. She's like yelling, having her finger in Gertie's face. So they go back to sit down and then she's standing over Gertie. It's very aggressive behavior from Julia. Unnecessarily aggressive. You know when people get aggressive because they're lying? Or they talk over you because they're lying? Maybe. So then in this back and forth that they're going back and forth, Julia mentions how Gertie was talking bad about Alexia in her jacuzzi. So she's dropping. So this is what it says to me. You decided that you wanted to be a part of Alexia and the Marisol crew, and now you're turning on Adriana and Gertie, dropping tea about what was said. Okay. And did Gertie have bad things to say about Alexia because they weren't in the best place? Like, when did this happen? Because remember, at some point last season, or was it last season or the previous season, Gertie and Alexia were not in a great place. I don't remember. I need to know the timeline of things. Gertie did say, and I think this is when she had the scene with Kiki, is that Alexia showed up for her a lot during the summer when she had her 2 surgeries. She said Alexia checked in on her a lot over the summer. So that had to be before the summer, because during the summer, she hadn't even spoken to Julia. All right, so it starts getting even more heated between the two of them, more so from Julia's side. So they sit back down so Gertie can tell what happened on the cruise. So Gertie's explaining what happened on the cruise. Then Julia is triggered because Gertie says to her, be quiet. Because she starts chiming in, I forgot what she said. I can't with Julia. She said a whole bunch of nothing. So Gertie tells her to be quiet. She didn't say shut the F up, because I think that's what she should have said. She said, be quiet. And that's when Julia takes her glass of water and she splashes it. She splashes it in Gertie's direction. Mind you, Kiki's in between them. Kiki also gets soaked. Both of them are soaked. But look at this picture. This picture of Gertie soaked is so heartbreaking to watch. As you can see from the captions, this is Julia saying, oh my God, you're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. That's what she kept on saying. You're a liar. Oh my God, you're a liar. And she's whispering to Larsa and them. She's like, oh, she is lying. She's making stuff up. Okay. If she's making stuff up, why are you reacting this way? So she splashes Gertie with the water, and she splashes Kiki. So Gertie stands up and she's just like, this is ridiculous. But Gertie is not leaving. I don't blame Gertie. If Gertie left, I wouldn't blame her either. If Gertie wanted to stay, I don't blame her. At one particular point, this is getting more heated. We have Julia in Gertie's face, pointing in her face, waving her finger in Gertie's face. Okay? At one particular point, Kiki's just like, let's leave. Let's just leave. And while Julia and Gertie are going back and forth, Kiki's pulling Gertie. And Gertie's like, I don't need you to pull me. Like, I'm not going to do anything. I agree. I'm like, why are you pulling on her? Like, if you want to leave, you can leave. If Gertie doesn't want to leave, Kiki, she doesn't need to leave. I didn't like the fact that Kiki was trying to reprimand. And even in her confessional, basically, she's like, well, I don't know why she wants to stay there. You know, if I'm going to say what I want to say and then I'm going to leave. That's you, Kiki. I didn't hear Kiki say a damn thing to Julia or pull Julia back or be mad at Julia, because I would have been, if I was you, Kiki, I would have been mad at Julia. Like, you might have an issue with Gertie, but you just poured water on me. You just poured water on me. Where's my apology? We don't know. Ashley says, was it a cancer scare or a scheduled biopsy? I think based on what Julia said, that she wasn't feeling well. So I don't know if she was in the middle of treatment at the time. It's hard to say. Exactly. Pageant Mommy says that Kiki was making it seem like Gertie was going to be unhinged. And Gertie had to tell us, like, I'm okay. I'm not like that. She's like, I'm not like that. The person that was going off that just splashed both of you is the one that you should be talking to. At one particular point, Kiki says to Alexia, you know, get Julia. So Julia's still going off. Gertie, Kiki's left. Kiki's like, I came dry, now I'm leaving wet. Bye, Kiki. Bye. Because you this entire episode annoyed the hell out of me. Go. And then you making excuses for Julia versus holding Julia accountable. Julia was the one to splash both of you. The only two black women there. She splashed both of you. She never apologized to you, but you were like, I'm leaving. Gertie's like, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have this conversation. Whatever. And they're like, guys, don't make this, you know, this is supposed to be about Marisol, blah, 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 blah. Larsa was the only one that told Julia that she shouldn't be splashing anybody with water. She was the only one. Everyone else was sort of like, oh my God. The minute that Julia stood up, they should have been like, sit down, Julia. No one's standing up. Why are you standing up? And remember, Julia's not a small woman. Julia is a tall woman. And the fact that she had to lean over and she's all in Gertie's face. Gertie was not in her face like that. So anyway, so we had that back and forth. They end up moving on so they can celebrate Marisol. And Marisol's just like, what is happening? And then we see Larsa and Julia having a conversation. And Julia's just like, I want to take my mic off. I can't believe this happened. Da, da, da. So she's having regrets. She's having regrets. I don't know what was going on with her. I don't know if she had too many drinks. I don't know if a producer got in her ear. I don't know. But you know what I do know? I'm over Julia. I am completely over Julia. Julia, you are a Karen. That behavior is unacceptable. It was disgusting. It was gross. And now I understand why you put out that 2-page Instagram story that nobody really wanted to read with all these excuses, and none of what you said in there was an apology. Did she issue an apology for splashing Gertie? Let me take a look. Let me take a look. Did she issue an apology? Can someone let me know? Did she issue an apology? Because that's what she needs to do. She needs to issue an apology. Let me see if this will come up. That's what should have been. You knew what was about to happen in this episode, Julia. What you should have done was issue an apology in that. You didn't even apologize in that. Did she issue an apology? Let me look. I can't look on the computer. Let me see. Because I need to know if she issued an apology. Please hold, guys. As I'm doing this, be sure to Google Schmoogle for me. Let me see. Nope. She's too busy. Best stay with family. Conveniently, because you know one of the things that Gertie said? Gertie was like, oh, what about when you were getting a facelift and Martina, I don't remember if she said Martina was getting cancer treatment or she was getting a biopsy or something like that, but she was fighting cancer. Are we surprised? We talked about this last season, her making everything about herself. But I was like, if Martina's okay with her making everything about herself and Martina's the one going through cancer, you like it, I love it for you. But I thought that was weird. So she posted this photo yesterday from her outfit that she wore for the event. So this is what she says. She says, not everything went as planned except for the outfit. That was on point. However, my birthday is tomorrow. Oh, she's a Cancer? Shocking. Which seems like a good time to remind you that as a Cancer, I'm a water sign. You are... Gertie, get behind me. Get behind me. You are gross. Just when I could... Oh, she said chemo. Thank you. Martina was getting chemo at the time. So Gertie brought up... Get behind me, Gertie. So Gertie brought up the fact that she went and got a facelift while Martina was getting chemo. You have... Mind you... Oh, they're dragging her in the comments, y'all. Because the comments have more comments than likes. She says... Here's the thing. She says... when you watch the scene, she says, however, my birthday is tomorrow, which seems like a good time to remind you that as a Cancer, I'm a water sign. Oh, so you're leaning into this. You're leaning into this. What? To remind you that I'm a water sign. Let me see what the comments are saying. Let me see. Oh, someone in the comments said, you left your wife to get a facelift while she had chemo. You threw a drink at a woman that is barely recovering from cancer. Really hope you don't return next season, someone says. Another person says, it's giving white privilege. Another person says, if I was Gertie, I would have rocked your ish. Get behind us, Gertie. Get behind us. We are Team Gertie over here. I'm sorry. And we're never team anyone. We're team ourselves. But it's so unnecessary. I could understand if we saw something happen between you and Gertie and we're like, okay, we understand. Like we're seeing happen between Larsa and Lisa. But the nerve, this caption. Someone said, Lord. The black women are in the comments. The black women are in the comments right now. One person says, reflect on your behavior towards a black woman. The underlying disdain is very apparent. Another person says, aggressive white Karen. Another one person tagged Bravo. To not address this on Watch What Happens Live last night was telling as well. That was not okay at all. Another person tags Bravo, Andy, and Bravo and says, what will you do about Julia's violent behavior? Her white tears should not save her from the consequence of throwing water and aggressively pointing her finger in the face of her castmate who's recovering from cancer. And the fact that in her caption, she talked about being a water sign. That's her being, like she's making a joke of this. Girl... Where is my fire? Get the fire. This is for you, Julia. You are gross. Gross, gross, gross. All right, I'm going to drop the call-in link for members live chat. Let's get to 400 likes, and I'll drop the call link for you guys as well. Posh is watching from Hong Kong on X. We see you, Posh. Let me drop the call-in link for our... members first. So if you're a member of the channel, I'm going to drop this on the post tab here on YouTube. Live chat, keep liking the video. It's easy and it's free. If you missed it yesterday, we recapped the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion looks here on the channel. So be sure to check that out if you wanted to hear my thoughts and opinions on the looks. Let me drop this link. But overall, guys, how did you rate last night's episode? It's hard for me to rate the episode because I was so disgusted by the end of it. I felt like this season has been good, but like that made it really hard to watch. And I understand so many people were in my comment section on X saying, I'm not going to watch the rest of the season. Like I can't even watch this episode because everyone saw what people were saying about what played out in the episode. Tyler says, as a water sign, I'm offended. That's gross behavior. And the fact that she has not apologized, she has. I mean, would we accept the apology? I don't know at this particular point, but a little too late. I would never see it for Julia. I would never. I think she will only apologize because of the backlash that she's receiving. Kendra says, thank you for the super chat, Kendra. Kendra says, as a tourist, Julia would have needed Marisol's eye patch. Definitely would have caught these hands. Again, I've been very lucky to never be in a situation like this, so I don't know how I would have reacted, but I will tell you, watching it play back, I was so angry. I was so angry, especially when I looked at this photo of Gertie. And Gertie basically says that she felt like she was being hazed by the Mean Girl group. So Gertie didn't just see this as behavior from Julia. She saw this as behavior from the rest of the women. And the fact that the women did not step up and say anything. No one said, Julia, no one's standing up, sit down. No one said that to her. No one reprimanded her when she splashed water. It was like, we don't do that here. And now you saw Alexia was on Watch What Happens Live last week, and she's just like, I really can't, Julia's my friend, but I can't have her back on this one. She's seeing the backlash, and she already gets the backlash, so she didn't want to get the fever of the backlash that's happening for Julia right now. Julia, you deserve it. But I've been telling y'all about Julia. I've been told y'all about Julia, but y'all didn't want to listen to me. Samira, thank you so much for the super chat. Samira says, Julia said at the end to Larsa, I'm upset Gertie made me react this way. Is that her exact words? I remember having regrets. She said, I'm upset Gertie made me react this way. I swear I wanted to be tagged in because no one checked her. No one, not even Kiki. I'm telling you, if Dr. Nicole was there, she would have. They're so happy that Dr. Nicole's not there this season. They are so happy. MK, thank you so much for the super chat. MK says, not my 2-year-old and Julia having the same birthday. I bet your 2-year-old has better manners, though. Kendra, thank you so much for the super chat. Kendra says, Julia is a gutter snipe trash. OMG. All right. Let me see who's backstage. Live chat. We're almost at 400 likes. I will drop the call link for you guys shortly. But we have a good line of people. Shout out to our members. We appreciate their membership, their monthly support here on the channel. Become a member today at teamkempire.com/join. Don't forget the Kempire After Dark, the villain era. It's coming to Philly, July 10th. 2 weeks from today, I'll be in Philly. Okay? So Philly, I can talk about the new episode of Real Housewives of Miami with you guys. And I'm not going to talk about it with the world until probably like that following Friday, if not, maybe that Saturday. So Philly, you will have the exclusive thoughts, my first thoughts on that week's episode of Real Housewives of Miami. I just thought of that. So stay tuned. If you're in Philly and you want to have exclusive access, that will be your opportunity. Don't forget, Alexander Rogers will be opening for me in Philly. This week alone, though, City Winery is having a flash summer sale. So if you've been waiting to get tickets, this would be the week to get your tickets. Ticket information for that will be available in the description. Then we're coming to Atlanta August 5th. Then we're in DC August 22nd. And then back here in New York City, September 12th. The September 12th date has a live stream ticket as well. More information on that will be available in the description. Deborah says, I definitely miss Dr. Nicole. Honestly, like, I've never been a huge Dr. Nicole fan. I like Dr. Nicole, but I kind of wish Dr. Nicole was there to kind of bring balance to the group, because I think that's what it's missing, because now it feels so weird, because it does feel like everyone's against Gertie. Okay, let's get into our callers. Callers, please respect the timer. Please note that the opinions of the callers do not represent the opinions of myself, TheKempire LLC, or our sponsors. We're talking about the Real Housewives of Miami. And stay tuned for my Diddy update later today. We have closing arguments today. All right. Taurus with the T is backstage. We're going to bring her up first. Taurus with the T, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, happy Thursday.
You too.
I haven't even had a chance to watch the episode, but I had to tune into your live because I saw a preview, and I just want to say this rhetoric about lighter skin or women from different races mistreating Black women on TV, especially in these more exclusive spaces. I am tired of seeing that on my television. That splash reminded me a lot of when Mia did it to Wendy. It was just so uncalled for. It just also reminds me that not everyone is able to verbally spar with someone and keep it cute
Mm.
and witty And Julia doing that, I am over her storyline. I don't want to hear anything about the adoption with the boys. Unfortunately, I don't want to hear anything about Martina's cancer journey anymore because you're not acting in a position as though you should have empathy for someone who's going through the same thing as your spouse. She is nasty for what she did, and Kiki needs to realize that the same way how they will do Gertie, they're gonna do her. Like this is something that's repetitive.
Mhm.
And now I'm gonna rage bait and watch the episode and still leave comments because I'm just tired of them at this point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kempire.
Thank you, Taurus, for the tea. Take care. All right. Hold on. Thank you so much. Shout out to our King's Guards, guys. Be sure to thank them in the live chat as well. We have Wendy. Oh, we haven't seen Wendy in a hot second. Where you been?
I've been listening.
Okay.
Because I haven't been watching, especially not Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh.
But I'm like the last caller. I haven't watched this episode either. But I tell you this: if Gertie would have reacted the way I would have reacted, she would be labeled as the angry black woman, as the aggressive angry black woman. It took everything in God and Gertie not to get up, and I saw it in her face.
Yep.
She wanted to react so bad. And I was like, "Girl, ooh!" The Capricorn in me would have just. But yeah, that's all I had to say. Is that if the roles were reversed, it would be Gertie, the angry black woman, and this is just not okay.
And look at her face. Her face here just looks so hurt. Like she doesn't know what to do in this. I felt like every time I see that scene, I'm like, okay, sorry.
No, Gertie was like, Lord, do not let me hurt that woman. Yeah. That's that prayer that she was given. Lord, I do not want to hurt that woman. I will, if I touch her, she will not be alive.
Yeah.
All right, then. Have a good one.
Nice seeing you. Bye. All right, let's bring up O'Shea next. O'Shea.
Hey, Kempire.
Hey, what's going on?
No, I agree that Dr. Nicole is like needed to play like the Cynthia role because there's no balance in this cast. It's very cattish, and Kiki was behaving like Sutton this episode. That was like the only thing I was thinking. And I'm like, when they're done with her, they're gonna get to you, and you'll have what at the end of it. And and Julia is just vile. Really, that was so nasty and unnecessary. I don't. And when I read the water sign comment like an hour ago, like that took me out. I mean, like that's deranged to say,
right?
Like publicly, that's just.
So you're not sorry?
Yeah. Like and not even a sorry. Like I'm a water sign. Yeah. I'm out for today. I'm like on a family. I'm like, girl, what? Not even like a straight. I'm sorry. Just a mess. But But thanks, everyone.
Thanks, O'Shea. Take care. Everybody loves O'Shea's voice. Y'all swooning over O'Shea over there. He's in South Africa. If you're going over there, just saying. All right, I want to go over there. Stay tuned, South Africa. I'm trying. All right, Pageant Mommy's backstage. We're gonna bring Pageant Mommy up next. Pageant Mommy, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Miami? That wasn't for you.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the normalization of this macro aggressive behavior on these shows, it has to stop. It really, really has to stop. But I do have to say that it's almost like a tax that, when we make a decision to go on these, predominantly white or proximity to white casts and spaces, it's almost like the tax that has to be paid almost with Bravo. So that is, that's something that really has to stop. And this bystander behavior of everyone else sitting around, like if I, of course, with my crystal ball, looking to see if Gertie was behaving as Julia, I would say 9.5 times out of 10, they would have been like, oh gosh, no, but they let that bystander behavior, even though Larsa did say something.
Yeah, she was the only one.
She was the only one, but it still was kind of like meek and passive, right? Yeah. So it's like, so it's just really, the tax, we have to really think about the spaces that we're in and the loneliness on our face. I'm sorry to go over, but the loneliness on that woman's face, I didn't even see like, I want to fight back or I'm fighting to fight. I saw like defeat and loneliness in her face, which was so triggering and heartbreaking. This is not okay. Have a great day, everybody.
You too.
Be good to yourself.
You too. Bye. I will say this in regards to, it would be interesting to see if Gertie had reacted the way that Julia reacted, how the rest of these women would have reacted. It would have been interesting. And you know they would have been talking about it for episode after episode. Watch them not talk about Julia's behavior episode for episode. And like one other comment from someone else, the fact that this wasn't addressed on Watch What Happens Live and no one said anything, I found that to be very interesting. No, nothing was said. Andy didn't say, you know, we do not condone violence of any kind. None of that was said. Okay. Nicole, we're going to bring up next. Nicole, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Miami?
Hey, Kempire, how are you doing?
Oh, well, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm so glad. I wish I would have watched this before I went to the gym because I'm a 5 a.m. gym person in the mornings. And when I came back and I watched it, it was triggering.
Yeah.
I'm just so disgusted because as Black women, we are tired.
Yeah.
We are tired. We get tired of having to explain. And it's like the way Gertie handled it, I was proud of her with so much class and dignity. And then also, I want to say this about Martina Navratilova. I'm 51. I played competitive tennis. I started playing tennis since the age of 2 years old. I played competitive since, high school and college. I was in that Martina era, before the Serena sisters came out. I know all the Black players from Arthur Ashe to Zena Garrison to Althea Gibson. I saw the struggles with the Serena sisters. If you go back to Martina Navratilova, she's always had passive aggressive energy towards Serena. I'm just saying, I know my history of tennis, and I know how it is to be that Black girl in that all white space, especially in tennis. So I'm not surprised how Miss Julia has been reacting. She's been waiting for that moment. And especially with immigration, the struggles we're having with immigration in this country right now. And then you have Gertie, who is a Haitian woman. And then you see that orange man put a travel ban on Haiti 2 weeks ago. Okay? And then you're in Florida. First of all, Florida is more diverse than what you're seeing on TV.
Yeah.
The Latinos, I'm sure the ones that are up there, they check the white box just to be adjacent to the whiteness. But I just want to say, give Gertie grace. She played the card well, and I'm glad she did it that way. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Nicole. The other element, too, when we talk about Martina, remember that even the world of tennis, even up until recently, treat Black women in that space very racistly. Okay, so I can only imagine what Nicole is referring to in regards to Martina and her behavior over the years when it comes to other Black players in tennis. Exactly. Mary says Martina is super conservative. You know. So am I surprised that her wife is acting that way? No, not at all. Okay, let me get to some more callers. Live chat, I'm going to drop the calling for you guys. We're almost at 400 likes, so I'm going to drop the calling for you guys as well. Keep liking the video if you haven't already. Be also to share the video, okay? All right, let's get into this. And replay crew, be sure to let us know how you guys would rate this week's episode of The Real Housewives of Miami. Let me actually see how you guys are rating this week's episode. Let me see. Still, I mean, it's still a great show based on what we're seeing, based off the votes. We have almost 700 votes, and 79% of you guys are rating this week's episode between a 7 and 10. If anything, I'm giving them a 10, and it's because of Gertie, because she didn't snatch Julia by her wig. I'm just saying. All right. Let me say thank you. We had a couple of super chats. Thank you, Nelly, for the super chat. Oh, Nelly, I got to shimmy for the super chat. Let me shimmy. Nelly says, happy Pride, Kempire. I was so mad at this episode. It's not a safe space for Black women. Side note, a lot of Cubans in Miami have voted for the redhead starting World War III. I think we need to talk about it when we talk about what's happening in Miami, or more specifically, what's happening in Florida. Remember, Florida voted red. Paula, and before y'all start getting into you should not be talking about politics, please F you and see your way out. This is my platform. This ain't CNN, and even CNNs and the MSNBCs are talking political stuff. So see your way out. If you're uncomfortable, you need to check to see why you're that uncomfortable. Paula, thank you so much for the super chat. Paula says, if it was me, I would have made this an episode of Dynasty and drag Julia like Crystal used to drag Alexis to the ground. I mean, I'm glad that Gertie didn't do that and she didn't give them that power over her. However, we're not going to sit here and act as if what Julia did was an assault. It was. Future MD, thank you so much for the super chat. Future MD, let me shimmy. Future MD says, I loved when Gertie told Kiki in Creole, nope, I'm not leaving. I'm sitting right here, honey. Exactly. That took a lot of strength and self-control, especially considering how hurt she looked. You just got splashed with water. There's water all over her face. I saw Gertie posted a post where she is, it was right after the splashation. Look, splashation. And she looks phenomenal.
Okay, so just got home from this very interesting, crazy, low-class, disgusting event because of a happening. And I'm actually in shock because honestly, I thought that my face was gonna have smear makeup foundation all over it.
Nope.
And I just got home.
The makeup was, she looks, I mean, look. Wait.
The clown show. I used Charlotte Tinsbury setting spray, and then I used One Size finishing spray. So those two together will give you this, baby. Nothing. So throw all the water you want, darling. Okay, so.
Yes, come on, Gertie, come on. Throw all the water you want. Face card did not decline. Thank you, Future MD, for the super chat. We appreciate your support. You also said that took a lot of strength and self-control, especially considering how hurt she looked. Yeah. Whew. And I love the dress. The dress looked really great. I like that green on her. I love how she's embracing the bald head. She has a head for it. We're Team Gertie over here. Just in case, look, we're Team Never Anyone, but no. The fact that no one on this cast was Team Gertie or had Gertie's back, we're going to protect Gertie at all costs. Okay? Because none of y'all will ever understand what Gertie just went through on this show. And for it to replay, because here's the thing. Yes, we're Team Gertie, but the fact to see that now that's going to be played over and over and over again on national television. So, okay. All right, let me get to the rest of these calls because we have a long line. Let me bring up Jamina. Hey, Jamina.
Hey, Kemp.
Hey, how are you?
I am pissed, to say the least.
I know.
Bravo is doing this on purpose, and we know they're getting us to watch the show because they get us upset. And I noticed what they'll do is whoever this aggressor is, the racist aggressor, they'll then be painted the villain. If you look at Charlie on Next Gen, anyways, I'm not watching anymore. I'm done with that show as well because I can't. It's disgusting how she behaved and how she had her hands in Gertie's face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what a hag! I am pissed.
I know.
It's not okay. So yeah, I'm just very upset. I don't have much. I'm just disappointed in Bravo and like this thing they're doing because they're doing it on purpose at this point.
Yeah.
They know they're gonna catch us, and that's how they're probably the only way to get us to tune in. And I also do agree with the other callers where if they say Dr. Nicole is needed, she was the balance because she would have called out that behavior. She would have not like kept quiet. Okay, Larsa tried, but yeah, no.
And I wonder if that's why Dr. Nicole ends up filming a little bit later on this season.
I hope so, and I really hope we get her back next season as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to stay on too long. South Africa's waiting for you. I'm still keeping my eye out.
I'm trying.
So-
I'm trying. Please understand, just because I haven't said anything doesn't mean that I'm not trying.
I know,
and
I'm
I really can't
hopeful.
say anything until it's like, done.
Got you. But
Thanks,
I'm keeping
Jamina.
my eye open. Bye, guys.
Bye. All right. April's backstage. We're going to bring April up next. April, what did you want to share?
Hi, good afternoon, Kempire. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, I was really, really upset, and I don't know, maybe it's the Aries in me, or maybe it's just how I was just raised. But I wouldn't be mad if Gertie would have meet her because what are you doing? And like, I understand trying to stay calm under pressure, but either way, they're going to paint Gertie as the problem. So it doesn't matter if she stood there, she was quiet or anything, because they're still doing it now. They're making her out to be the aggressor. I even had to mute Julia's wife on
Oh,
Twitter
Martina.
because because she made some, I believe it was a trigger warning transphobic comments.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It was out of pocket and I had to mute her. And I've been side-eyeing Kiki ever since she befriended Larsa. Like, I get it. You have to maintain appearances for this show. But she's also been moving funny towards Gertie since last season, and if I'm not mistaken, the season before that. It's just like you don't have to be best friends, but to let them play in her face like that, that's
Yeah.
disrespectful. Not to mention ableist as
Mm.
well. That like racism and ableist, like, oh, just I can't. And I think I'm gonna have to take a break because that's just really just disrespectful how Julia just played in her face and how they're just ganging up on her. And Kiki just needs to get it together because you look like a lap dog. Like it's just not cute.
Yeah.
Have a good day,
You
Kempire.
too. Thanks, April. All right. Let me, because you guys reminded me that Adriana made a post on social media in regards to what happened on last night's episode. Because remember, Adriana wasn't there. Some people don't realize that Adriana was the only other cast member that was not at this surprise party for Marisol. So Adriana said on social media, she says, hold on, let me actually bring this up so you guys can actually see it. Hold on. And while I'm doing that, guys, keep liking the video. We are talking about the Real Housewives of Miami. Let me just bring this up here. Preview mode. There we go. Let's bring this up here. All right. So this is what Adriana said on social media. She says, I was very saddened by the way Gertie was treated at tonight's RHOM episode. As someone who lost a brother to cancer, I have deep respect and admiration for her strength and courage. It's very disturbing to see someone who is still dealing with the aftermath of a life-threatening disease be treated with such disdain. Yeah, because people forget that, like, literally, yes, she, I don't know if you want to say cured, but she's on the other side of her cancer journey, but she's still dealing with the aftermath of it. And it doesn't feel like any of them are really checking in on her and seeing how she's doing. She might give the appearance like everything is cool, but we know, based on what we're seeing, what she's been going through. Has anyone even asked her? Doesn't seem like it. Does anyone even care? Doesn't seem like it. Yes, thank you so much, Kendra. Thank you so much for the super chat. She says, Adriana posted on her Instagram in support of Gertie. All right. Let me get to the rest of these callers. We have Cynthia backstage. Hey, Cynthia, what's going on?
Hi, Kempire. How you doing?
Oh, well, how are you?
I'm fine. Your recap was wonderful. I didn't get a chance to watch Real Housewives of Miami.
Okay.
Oh my God, I forgot. Julia's a cancer.
Apparently, cancers like to be physical.
But you know, but Kempire, you know what? Honestly, I really commend Gertie for her restraint and not responding back physically.
Yep.
That took a lot, Gertie.
Yeah.
I am so sorry that happened to you, Gertie.
Yeah.
No one defended her. That is just, I don't know what's going on.
Not one person.
But you know what? I like I said, I commend her. She said, "I'm not going nowhere. I'm gonna stay right here." And she read Julia down for. Julia was doing too much. And you know what? As a cancer, yeah, we do too much. We do too much. We do too much. But anyway, Kempire, thank you so much.
Thanks, Cynthia. Take care.
Have a good one.
You too. All right. Doja says remission is another journey. And we're seeing that. We're getting to see that through Gertie this season. All right. Miss Bernice is backstage. We're going to bring Miss Bernice up next. Uh-oh. Hey, Miss Bernice.
Hey, Kempire. What up, to everyone?
What's going on?
Okay. Let me get my words right because I don't want to be the angry black woman. I am in this instance because I always said that Kiki was a pygmisha, and it's coming out again. Her first year on here, she was definitely a pygmisha. She cooled out second year, but pygmisha is back in full throttle this year. Because how you gonna get upset at Gertie when Gertie is the victim, but you have nothing for the perpetrator?
The same woman that also got you wet. You're also wet because of what she did.
You're wet not because of Gertie. You're wet because of Julia.
Yep.
But you're defending Julia and you're mad at Gertie. Okay. And for the simple fact is, this is how that cruise went. Didn't Gertie say she just came from that cruise and her husband had a wonderful time? So you asking me to go back on the cruise, I'm being friendly to you panicky, and I come. Everybody knows me here. So I know the crew and the captain was glad to see her come back. So she took your light because this supposed to be all about you. But it wasn't
Mm.
about you. Gertie was just being Gertie and being
Mm.
friendly and being
Mm.
herself. And people are drawn to her light. They're not
Mm.
drawn to your darkness.
Oh.
So go suck on that in the corner.
Damn. Okay, Miss. Anything else, Miss Bernice? You have to.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Um,
oh.
and and I hate that her only two allies on that show is Dr. Nicole and Adriana.
Yeah.
If Adriana was there, she would have been no Julia. She would have cut into Julia.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
would have cut into the other ladies for not saying anything to protect Gertie. And
Yeah.
you know that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Miss
So
Bernice. We
yes,
appreciate you calling in.
that's about it. That back itch over there can stay in the corner, and I'll be fine. Other than that, love you.
Thank you, Miss
Have a good
Bernice.
day.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye. Ooh, I mean, she ain't lie. All right, Anthony's backstage. We're gonna bring Anthony up next. Anthony, it feels like we haven't talked to you in forever.
Oh my goodness, long time has really gone by. Hey everyone, I'm Anthony from Los Angeles, California. How are you today, Kempire?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm gonna give Miami this episode a 9 out of 10, just like this whole season so far. The reason why it's not a 10 is obviously Julia.
Mm.
Julia has argued with every woman on this cast, like Larsa, Alexia, Marisol, so on, but she has never gone to their face, never pointed a finger at them, or even
Mm.
threw a drink. So the fact that she did this to only Gertie and with this so-called quote unquote beef is beyond.
Yeah.
It's so out of order, it doesn't make any sense. I would understand if she would have done this to Alexia because Alexia has called her a Russian hookah,
Mm-hmm.
but Gertie has not done anything. She was literally calling her out, especially with that facelift comment. I died. I just cannot.
Yeah.
But like, look at her last season and compare her face to this season. Clearly, the face was lifted. So
Yeah.
I'm not understanding this whole thing with Julia. Like I would understand it, Alexia, Marisol, or production, or even both had told her she needs to step up in terms of her storyline or whatever. But even her alone adoption with the two boys,
Yeah.
to me at least, is enough. But I think it's because I've gone through that myself with adoption,
Mm-hmm.
and I know the process is very, very hard and it takes so long.
Yeah.
But I guess she needed this quote unquote drama, but it's not the type of drama we need for Housewives, especially for Miami.
Yeah.
So this is
Mm.
just out of line. But that's all
Thank,
I have to say. Thank you
thank,
so much, Kempire.
thanks, Anthony. And mind you, I don't even think they were going through the adoption process. Because remember, she made the big announcement. She was like, she made the excuse. We were going through the legalities of the adoption process, but you made the announcement public. Like she's been caught in a couple of lies. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I also don't know if they did this adoption through Florida. Like I don't know if this was like an international adoption or what it might be. But who knows? Let me say thank you. Thank you, Sage, for the super chat and for being a member. Sage says the worst part is Julia saying how embarrassed she was at the end in front of Marisol, like not embarrassed of your behavior to Gertie. Deplorable. Exactly. Because we know what that is. We know what that is. All right. Nelson the Virgo's backstage. Nelson the Virgo, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Miami?
Hi, Cam. How
Hey.
are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I was about to play devil's advocate talking about some, oh, I'm here to defend Julia.
Oh!
I'm not. I was lying. I was about to lie on here and say, oh, she's just the mom. She's a new incoming mother.
Oh.
Like, look at me being petty. This is just me being devil's advocate, y'all. I do not believe what I'm saying, but I'm just saying she's a mom. She has all these things going on for her. Like, do you guys understand that, when you're going through all those things that can, have your mind boggling just a little bit and you might throw a little bit of water? I'm just saying, but I'm Team Guerdy all the way. Come on, that's my Haitian sister. I'm Dominican. We share an island. We don't play like that. Like, Miss Mamas, why did you do that? It doesn't matter if you have waterfalls coming out of your home. Like, you don't throw water at a friend, okay? No. That's not what we do out here. And what was the other thing I wanted to say? Miami is doing well. I actually didn't watch the episode though, because I've seen all the clips and I didn't like that. Like, I literally saw that last clip and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm not understanding why we're throwing water. If you can't use your words, you lost. That to me right there. If you can't use your words, you lost. And Julia, you lost. You better take that L. And I think the reason that they probably didn't ask any questions about it and watch what happens live is because they're saving this for the reunion. That's the only. even though because like that other caller said, Bravo's whole point is to kind of hype us up. And that's a moment that's hyping a lot of us up right now. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it in terms of like we're watching it and everyone is feeling something. And this is what Bravo wants. So we're doing what Bravo wants, y'all, essentially. But that was all I had to say for now. I'll see what the show in New York can.
Bye,
Bye.
Nelson. I'll see you in September.
With my Virgo crown, because I'm not messing around with that. Bye.
Bye. All the Virgos will be in the house come September 12th. All right, let's get to some more calls, guys, so I can go, because I have to go do my Diddy update. Gabby, the Virgo, another Virgo's in the house. What's going on, Gabby? Gabby?
Can you hear me, Kempire? Can you hear me?
Now I can. What's going on?
Okay, so I'll be quick. I hear all the complaints about Bravo, but I think, unfortunately, it's a reflection of society, the way that they treat Black women on certain franchises, the lack of compassion for Gertie. I didn't watch any of the clips, so I was shocked. Julia has had worse things said about her, and she has never reacted in that manner. And I think Kiki surprised me. The fact that she was pulling Gertie away and not Julia. Julia stood up and she was walking towards Kiki. Kiki was backing up.
Yeah.
And I don't think Kiki has had the same experiences as other Black dark-skinned women, because she has pretty privilege, unfortunately. And probably in the spaces that she's moved in, she is one of people that look like her. Adriana, my leave that man alone. It is so cringe, and that is all. Thank you, Kempire.
Thanks, Gabby.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye. All right, MK's backstage. We're going to bring MK up next. MK, what did you want to share?
Hello.
Hey.
So I just wanted to say I'm super disappointed in Bravo, and I feel like they're hypocrites because didn't they change their whole code of conduct or something this year? Shouldn't this have reflected in that? Maybe a little thing that says we don't condone violence. Just didn't watch what happens live, because this is like the third Black woman who's been assaulted on Real Housewives, and nothing's happened. You had Mia throw a drink at Wendy, now you have Julia doing it to Gertie. And I feel like there's a caller who mentioned like something about rage baiting, and I think that's what they're doing because that brings in viewers. Like with the Kenya thing, didn't that episode bump the viewers and the demo for that one episode of Atlanta Housewives? And I'm pretty sure we're gonna see an increase in viewership for this episode. So it's almost like they're leaning into that to draw in viewers, because the more outrage there is, people are gonna want to tune in to see, what's happening, you know? But they're doing it at the expense of Black women. Like, it was so sad to see Gertie sit there in water and just try and compose herself.
Yeah.
And Kiki, I love her. And part of me gets why she was saying, hey, like, let's leave, we're not wanted here. But I love that Gertie was like, no, I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm gonna stay here and have a good ass time, and she can leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm disappointed in Bravo, honestly.
All right, thanks, MK.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, we have Keith backstage. 1 second. Keith, what's going on? What did you want to share about Real Housewives of Miami?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
So yes, I'm actually going to be defending Kiki here. Okay. So I feel like honestly, her heart was in the best place because it seems like she was giving Gertie a heads up on what the ladies were telling her in confidence about how they felt about Gertie and just letting her know what the deal really is. But what really stuck out to me was after the drink was thrown on Gertie, Kiki said they don't want us here, and that us word really stuck out to me. Like, I'm still here with you. So I don't know. I'm on Kiki's side with this. I don't feel like she would definitely be in a pick me. I think she was trying to do something that she thought was best, but it just wasn't being effective. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Thanks, Keith, for calling in. All right, guys. I have to round this out because I have my Diddy update to do. But thank you to everyone that called in. Thank you to our King's Guards. Thank you to our subscribers. Thank you to all of you that were part of the conversation in the live chat. But replay crew, how would you rate this week's episode of The Real Housewives of Miami? What did you think about what's been playing out between Julia and Gertie? Let's continue this conversation in the comment section. Don't forget your Diddy update. Day 31 of the Diddy trial will be coming a little bit later on this evening. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video. Let's get to 500 likes. Don't forget, the Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era live show is coming to Philadelphia July 10th, 2 weeks from today. Then we're coming to Atlanta August 5th, then DC August 22nd, then back here in New York City September 12th. Philly, you have a special summer flash sale this week only, so get your tickets if you haven't already. And spread the word. So if you know people that live in Philly or nearby Philly or want to come to a show, let people know. Thank you to everyone that sent in Super Chats, Venmos, Cash Apps. We appreciate your monthly support as well, members. And of course, thank you to our King's Guards again. And I will see you guys in the Diddy recap, all right? All right, everyone. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.
Here we go now.